So far into the 2021 NBA season, the San Antonio Spurs have had a 4-4 record, and they have had many breakout players, and many believe they should trade DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. So in today's video, I'll be discussing how good I think the Spurs will be this season, as well as discussing their future. But before we get into that video, I ask you to drop a like on this video because it helps my channel grow and only takes a second of your time, and subscribe to my channel to help me reach 700 subscribers before the end of January, and comment on this video to start a conversation with me because I respond to all my comments. And play that intro. Over the last 2 decades, the Spurs have won 5 championships and have never missed the playoffs until last season, where they finished with a 32-39 record and the 11th seed in the Western Conference. And the main reason they missed it last season was because they honestly were just not good enough to make it in the West. And going into this year, I honestly don't see them making it because LaMarcus will probably decline even more, and this offseason they didn't acquire a single significant player. So I do think they will be in the race to make the playoffs, maybe even be in the playoff tournament, but I don't think they have a chance to get the 8th seed because I believe the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Jazz, Mavs, Blazers, and Suns are all significantly better than them. And on top of that, there's a bunch of other teams that are competing for the 8th seed, such as the Houston Rockets if they keep James Harden, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the Warriors. Their best player is DeMar DeRozan, who, although I believe he is a very good all-star level player, he isn't a superstar who can carry this team to the playoffs. And I expect a huge decline from Aldridge this season, and I don't think he will play at an all-star level player, maybe just a good starter. And DeJounte is going to take a huge leap this season, but he's not going to be a star. But enough about the Spurs' current situation. Now to get into their future. The biggest factor into whether the Spurs can be good in the future to me is whether the Spurs will embrace a rebuild. Because over the past few years, they have been retooling, which is trying to still win while still having young players and planning for the future. And they have lost in the first round or missed the playoffs over the course of the last 3 seasons. And I believe they should fully transition to the planning for the future side because they aren't good enough to make the playoffs. So you should trade all of your players who are above the age of 27. And they should start with trading DeMar DeRozan while his trade value is at its highest. And I doubt they will get a huge package in return, but I think they could get some solid rebuilding assets for DeMar, such as maybe a first round pick and a solid young player. But it's very hard to find a perfect team for DeMar since he has a non-existent 3-point shot and is a bad floor spacer. And he also fits more as a number 1 option or a number 2 option. Some teams I could see him going to is the Magic because they are a team that lacks an elite perimeter scorer, and they could probably trade Aaron Gordon or Terrence Ross and a few future first round picks and second rounders for DeRozan. I could also see DeRozan maybe going to the Mavericks, maybe in return for Tim Hardaway Jr. and a few future first round picks, because Dallas could be significantly better with a 3rd star. But I don't think DeRozan would fit well with Luka Doncic. The Mavs are a team that shoots a lot of threes, and DeRozan is the legit opposite of that. DeRozan's contract also is ending this season, and I'm sure the Spurs don't want to see themselves losing an all-star level player for nothing, because I don't see DeRozan staying, and they shouldn't even want to keep him since he won't be leading them anywhere, so they would definitely be trading him this season. Plus, they shock me and are really good. LaMarcus Aldridge also needs to get moved, and I think he could be moved more easily since he can play better alongside other stars because he can space the floor from mid-range and somewhat from 3. And I could see Aldridge getting moved to Portland, as there has been many rumors of it, and I think the Blazers have some assets. They could move Anthony Simons or Zach Collins, but I don't know how Portland would make the money work, but they definitely are a team I could see him getting traded to. I could also see him getting moved to maybe Utah and give Donovan more help. And Utah could move Mike Conley and 2 first-rounders for Aldridge. Aldridge's contract is also up this season, so if he declines, a lot of teams can just let him go. I also assume the Spurs don't want to lose Aldridge for nothing, so it's in their best interest to move him for some assets. The Spurs also have a bunch of good role players who can help contending teams, and the Spurs could get some solid future assets in return, such as Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, and Jakob Poeltl. They could help a lot of other teams, and I think they could get some second-round picks in return, which with a team like the Spurs, that is very useful since they're great at finding talent and developing talent. Spurs also have a few young players who I think are very solid, such as DeJounte Murray, who I think at his best can be a very good starter because of his great defense and his solid scoring ability. But I think his lack of three-point shot will hold him back from being an all-star. But he can be a very good player and a very good starter. And I think this season he will have his breakout year. And so far through 8 games, he has averaged 16 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 46% from the field, but below 30% from 3. And if he can continue trending upward, he could be a top 10 to 15 point guard in the next few years. We also have Lonnie Walker, who is a very athletic shooting guard, who I think could be a very good starter and scorer, kind of like Will Barton. He's also 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, so I think he could be a very good defender. And so far this season, he has averaged 12 points per game and has shot 40% from 3. So he's been showing how good he can be. Keldon Johnson has broken out as one of the best players on this team, as so far this season, he has averaged 14 points per game and has shot 42% from 3. He also averages 7 rebounds as a small forward, so he's very versatile who can do more than simply scoring. He has an all-around game, and I honestly think he has the most potential out of anyone on their young team to become a star player. And I truly believe he can be a star because he has a good handle and has a very good three-point shot. And on top of that, he's only 21 years old, so he has a lot of room to improve. Spurs rookie Devon Vasel has high 3-and-D potential. Now, I don't know if he can be a star, but I think he could be a very, very good role player. And so far this season, the Spurs have only been playing him 15 minutes, and he's averaging 15 points and shooting 53% from 3, although on only 2 attempts per game. But I still think he has a lot of potential. Although the Spurs should rebuild, there's a chance that they might not, simply because they're a prideful organization that can't accept trying to lose. But if they ever want to get back to being contenders, they need to have 1 or 2 bad seasons. And if they do that, I have no fear in them to choose a bust because of how good they are at choosing and developing players. Greg Popovich also might not want to rebuild because he's more of a coach that elevates good teams, not a rebuilding coach. So if they rebuild, I expect him to retire. But yeah, if the Spurs could get a rebuild, they could go back to contending. Anyways guys, that's it for the video. Let me know what you think about the Spurs' future. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel to help me reach 700 subscribers before the end of January. And comment on this video to start a conversation because I respond to all my comments. And I'm out.